Hey, what's going on, guys? Tanmay here for Simple Snippets. And a few days ago, I put a community post where I said that I'm gonna bring on a friend, Mitsu Mehta, who's a Oracle cloud engineer, and she's working in Oracle USA. And I said that I would like to get her on to our channel and talk about her experience and address some of your questions. You guys had put up a lot of questions, and in this video, we're gonna see the entire interview with her after this introduction. So about her, she's a cloud engineer and she's working in Oracle USA from the past 2 years. She'll give a brief about her introduction as well, but I just wanted to talk before we see that entire interview. And I've addressed quite a lot of questions and taken most of your questions only. So I hope you guys like this video. Please watch this video till the end. And some things that we did not discuss in detail is what exactly does she do in Oracle as the job, her job description, because she wanted to explain in detail and the video would have gone very long. So maybe that can be another topic. And if you want that, if you want to know exactly what she does, she can, give you a PowerPoint presentation and then I can coordinate and do a follow-up video after this one. So let me know in the comments. And one more thing that we did not discuss in detail was the entire journey of her traveling from India to US and how to get a job in US or in any foreign countries. She has a lot of experience about that, but that can be again a separate topic. So we decided we should not stretch the entire video of this video. So this was just a first video. We can do a lot of follow-up videos on specific topics. If you want that, let me know in the comments. But apart from that, the other questions that we've discussed, the questions that you guys have asked, we've tried to address quite a lot of that. So make sure you watch this video till the end and let me know in the comments how this video was. And with that being said, let's get to the interview. Hey, hi Mitsu, how are you?
Hi Tanmay, how are you?
So I've already given a little bit of introduction about you and about your work, but the very first question I would like to start off with is a little bit of introduction about yourself from your side. That's what my audience would want to know.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me here and letting me talk to your audience. As we all know, my name is Mitsu and I work as a cloud engineer with Oracle for about almost 2 years now. Okay. And to give you a brief introduction from my background, I've done my undergrad in Mumbai University, which is where we have met.
Right.
And after which I did a job with Infosys for 2 years. And then I moved to States for my master's, where I did Masters of Science in Information Science and Technology. And right after my graduation, I got a job with Oracle, and then I'm just like working with Oracle for about 2 years now.
Okay. So and for the college thing, you did bachelor's in computer science, information technology as the specification, right? Specialization.
So bachelor's was information technology, and master's was information science and technology. So almost similar.
Okay, but the master's thing that you did was in US.
In the US, there's a university in New York called as Rochester Institute of Technology.
Okay.
This is where I did a 2 years graduation program.
Okay, great. We'll come to how you got there and how was that journey. But before we proceed, the very first question, which many of the users have asked, and even I have the same question, is what exactly is a cloud engineer? So as in, what does a general cloud engineer do in a generalized way? I'm sure things must be different with different companies and different roles, but what is the term cloud engineer? I would like a little bit of more elaboration from your end.
Sure. So to understand what a cloud engineer does, you need to know what cloud computing is in general. So cloud, I think most of the IT students who are going to be majorly your audience, they would be knowing what cloud computing is.
Right.
So there are many vendors in the market who sell cloud products. So for example, Oracle is one.
Right.
There is Amazon. So the AWS cloud product is another vendor. There is Google cloud product. There is Microsoft's Azure. So all of these vendors have a team of engineers in their pre-sales department, where if there is any customer who want to migrate from their on-prem data center into cloud, they can come to these companies and they say that, okay, this is the current architecture that we're using. This is the kind of products that we're using on-prem, and now we want to move to cloud. So these companies have these pre-sales engineer who go into the discovery phase with these customers, understand what the requirements are, and build something called as proof of concept. It is like a demonstration of a live system. It's not actually your live system, but if you move to cloud, how is your data going to look on cloud? So these
Okay.
engineers go into these companies, to all these customers, and show them a proof of concept of their own cloud product, and give a look and feel of how they will function on cloud as against what they're doing on prem. And
Okay.
within cloud engineers also, you have a lot of different technologies. Like you have DevOps engineers, you have Visual Basic engineers, you have database engineers, analytics engineer, machine learning engineers. So you have various
Sure.
technologies within that as well. But primarily, it comes under the umbrella of cloud engineering. Go in there, give a look and feel of cloud products, and show a proof of concept to the customers.
Okay. So pretty much everything revolving around cloud computing is what is the primary task of a cloud engineer. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the next question, which which was asked by Shreya Gupta, and even I would have that same question, is how to be a cloud engineer. What would be a general roadmap, and what are the things that you need to know? You need to have a prerequisite to get started or get into the domain of cloud computing and become a cloud engineer.
So right now, currently, if you see cloud engineering and cloud computing is a booming space in terms
Right.
of a lot of customers want to move their data load, because there's a lot of problems with maintenance and security that they have to deal with when things are on prem. And when you're
Right.
just going into cloud, it's very simple and it's very easy to manage these resources on cloud. So there are a lot of vendors, like I was mentioning earlier. So one thing that you could do to get into this field is take as many course whenever you are in undergrad program, or if you're in a grad school program, to take a lot of course that is going to give you an idea of what cloud computing is in general. Even if you know something like an AWS cloud, you can still get a job at Google or with Oracle, because the underlying architecture for all of these cloud products is exactly the same. Only the branding changes.
Right.
Take as many courses. If you have an option to choose those courses in your school, in your undergrad school or in your grad school, make sure you take those courses and learn the basics of cloud computing, how it works. If you do not have those options available in your colleges or in your universities, what you can do is take up courses online. So there are a lot of free courses available, a lot of options to learn from on YouTube. But there's an entire treasure of study material on the web. So try educating yourself as much as you can in the space of cloud computing, not just with Oracle or AWS in specific. You can take up any course or any product in general, and try learning more on that area. The more keywords you have in your resume which are related to cloud computing, the more opportunities you're going to attract in the field of cloud engineering. So technically, I think overall, try focusing on cloud computing related subjects in your school or outside of your academy.
Right. And what would be the prerequisites of cloud computing? For example, there was a question where one of the user was asking whether programming languages and learning or becoming a programmer is more, does it have a lot of what we say impact on this cloud computing domain, because it doesn't seem to go hand in hand, I suppose, right?
So it's not a compulsory course that you need to know Java or you need to know Python. It definitely helps you, because on a ground root level, you are understanding the concepts of programming and the concepts of database management or concepts of SQL querying. So I would say it's definitely going to help you. But if you are completely from a non-IT background and you still want to understand what cloud computing is, you technically don't need the programming or mathematical background or statistical background. You can learn these concepts without having any kind of coding background or knowledge whatsoever. But once you are into cloud computing, like I said earlier, you have a lot of different options within cloud computing as well. You can specialize specifically in terms of database on cloud or security on cloud. So once you are in, now, for example, if I'm in database on cloud, I will need a little bit of knowledge on SQL querying or on PL SQL scripting. So if you have a little bit background from coding or from database, that is going to help you ahead in future. But it is not a prerequisite. Even if you don't have that, you can still get into the field. is
Right,
what I
right,
believe.
right. Another confusing or another confusion was when it comes to becoming a cloud engineer or cloud computing as a whole. Is it more focused on database and the data science part, or there are multiple aspects, as you just said, security on cloud, or maybe there would be some entire application on cloud. So there I suppose it would be more related to programming or security related concepts, right? Network security. So
Totally. So
so it totally
within
depends upon the specializations, right?
yeah. So even when it comes to Oracle Cloud teams that we work with, we
Mhm.
have different pillars, each pillar specifically focusing on one kind of technology. So for example,
Okay.
there is a team specifically for database related customers. So any customer
Right.
who are on-prem Oracle DB or MySQL DB or
Mhm.
MSQL DB customers who want to move into cloud with their databases. So there's a specific database team that focuses on just database customers.
Okay.
Then there is a specific team for machine learning. There's a specific team for packaged applications, which has both like packaged applications, which technically has app tier plus database tier combined together in a single application. So
Okay.
there's a specific team for that. There is a specific team for security. There's a specific team for DevOps. So there are, depending on various product set, there are
Mhm.
different pillars, and that's, I'm pretty sure this is the same kind of norm that is followed even in AWS or GCP for that matter. GCP is Google Cloud. So
Okay.
they do have these kind of pillar specific teams which are
Mhm.
focused on one single kind of technology.
Okay. Okay.
So one kind of knowledge is totally to know what cloud infrastructure is, like how cloud
Mhm.
works in an overall picture, and then specifically in terms of each technology. That's how
Okay.
you differentiate.
Okay. Okay. Right. All right. So moving on, um, Raghavi Bhausar, who's one of our subscribers, asked, okay, Tanmay sir, thank you so much for this kind thing. It's going to be very helpful for all our students. Okay, so my question for the guest, which is her question for you, is how much experience was required for her to land the job, right? So what was the work experience previously, and what all things
So
were you asked? Probably we can deep dive into your interview as well, but
yeah.
in a nutshell, what would be the experience that was required?
Sure. So, like I said earlier, I worked in India for 2 years with Infosys before I moved to States for my master's. But to be very frank, my experience with Infosys was not something that was useful for me to get the job that I have currently with Oracle.
Okay.
Uh, what I was doing in Infosys was totally in the area of system administration and networking related job, where I did more
Okay.
like CCNA expert. I was under that umbrella of CCNA expertise.
Okay.
But when I moved to States and I specialized specifically in the area of database management and
Mhm.
analytics, this is where I landed my job in Oracle Cloud team.
Okay.
One suggestion that I would like to give to people is when you look for jobs according to your level of where you stand in terms of if you are straight out of school or
Hmm.
are you like with 1 or 2 years of experience. So when you look for these jobs, all the job description is going to mention that line, how many years of experience is
Correct.
required.
Right.
So when I landed my job in Oracle, I applied for a job which was for a fresher, which was not for anybody with an
Okay.
experience. So
Okay.
the 2 years experience that I had in India did not count because it was not relevant to what I was going to do ahead. So
Okay.
that I
Okay.
I took up a job as a fresher, and then I'm building on my resume and I'm building on the years for my
Okay.
that particular technology.
Okay. All
So
right.
to give the answer very shortly, I took up a job as a fresher, no background or no experience.
Acha. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next question. All right. So Sandeep Mandal asks how to spend second, third, and fourth year of college, how to manage academics and self-learning routine. Okay. So it's a very generalized question. I guess a lot of users might have the same question. What are your thoughts on this? What are your opinions and
Uh,
suggestions?
So, if you remember, because we have done our undergrad together, if you remember, there was no special agenda in
Right.
our heads
Correct.
when we were
Correct.
doing our second year or third year. So,
Yeah.
I think don't take life too seriously, is my suggestion to every student. Just chill and relax for now. You can definitely learn. And
Correct.
the suggestion to, I think, balance it out is one thing that I think we all missed out as students back then is we were always limited to our curriculum.
Right, right, right.
We were not doing anything extra additional, and
Yeah.
that's something that I learned when I moved to States. Their education system promotes personal projects, so you
Okay.
don't have to necessarily have to just sit back and learn those 5 courses for
Hmm.
getting passing grades
Oh,
in
right.
your progress report. You can do
Correct.
something additional. So for example, if you back then, if you were interested in web development, you were not doing more web development related projects, but you were focusing more on the curriculum that you were given
Correct.
from the school
Correct.
or from the college.
Right.
So one suggestion to all the students or everybody who is watching this video would be to make sure that you do something additional to just your curriculum. Focus
Correct.
more on personal projects depending on your interest. I think
Right.
more you experiment, more you work with the different technologies, you're
Correct.
going to learn what is your interest, and you're going to
Definitely.
understand
Hmm.
what your domain is.
Yeah, this is
So that's
something
one.
I think we missed out, at least at the bachelor's level. We pretty much
Totally.
focused on our, curriculum. We were good at academics per se,
Yeah.
but then the theoretical knowledge was one thing, and then we missed out a lot on the practical side. And I guess I
And that's
built
something.
on that
Yeah.
at least during the master's time. And I guess
Yeah.
you did it when you moved to States, right? So
Correct.
that was a
Yes.
realization that we missed out 3 years of that time when we could have
Correct.
experimented a lot. And
A
I
lot
do give
more.
out this step as well to a lot of beginners who are getting into IT and computer science, at least as first year, second year. So, so for you, Sandeep, second, third, fourth year, I suppose you're supposed to experiment and try to figure out what you like, what you dislike, see different,
Correct.
different domains, and experiment out. That was a really nice one. I definitely loved that tip. Um, okay, so let's move on to the next one. So Priyanshi Jain says how much hard work she has done. I don't know how we can quantify that, but then she's saying also curious about her entire journey from which college. Okay, so that's the question. I suppose we've answered that, but just quickly, bachelor's
Yeah, very
from,
quickly,
yeah,
bachelor's from Usha Praveen Gandhi College of Management, which is under Mumbai University in Mumbai. I
probably
did
one
my
of the
bachelor's.
best one for BSc IT. That was really a great experience for all of us.
I
Then,
agree.
yeah,
And after that, I landed up my first job in Infosys. Like I mentioned earlier, it was also a fresher role, very basic operations executive role. 2 years in Infosys, and then I moved to States, did my master's program in Rochester Institute of Technology for 2 years, after which I started working with Oracle in Boston area in the US.
okay,
That's
okay.
how that's how I.
And I don't know how you can quantify the hard work wala question.
I think you can answer that question for the audience. How much of hard work?
It's definitely a lot. I don't know how I can put a number on that,
Yeah, it's
but I
definitely
don't
a
think
lot.
it was easy for you for sure. Let's move ahead. So we have Raju Rani who's saying in our India more than a lakh students getting passed out as engineers per year, but why not more number of students are selected in US in MNCs? What are the mistakes that they are doing? What's the reason you think behind this? And for coming generations, what should we avoid and what should we do to achieve that position? Okay, so he's probably asking what are the general mistakes as a Indian engineer that we're doing and why are we not really getting placed in these international MNCs? So, what are your thoughts
So
on this?
one thing that I would like to start by saying is working in MNCs is definitely not going to like it's not a major differentiator in terms of your success rate. It does not mean that if you do
Okay,
not work in an MNC, you are not as successful an engineer as against somebody working in Google or Microsoft.
okay, okay,
That's one thing that I want to start with. Next, I have partially answered that question already earlier, where I'm saying that you're not supposed to stay stuck to an curriculum
right,
related, like focused, because
right,
I think colleges and universities, they design these programs keeping certain parameters in mind, and
hmm,
they keep certain courses compulsory, some certain courses are optional. But I think
correct,
after that particular set of courses are done, you need to definitely have a lot of additional knowledge in the space of IT, because IT is very vast, and it's like after you and I probably, when we were in college, we were not even focused on something like data
Right.
science or machine learning, or we
Correct.
didn't even know what was DevOps. But
Yeah.
I think after you keep exploring more in terms of technology, you will understand how much wide and variety of areas you have to cover in IT. So never, first step, never stay stuck to your academics. Try doing
Correct.
additional things. And second thing, I think, which is also very important, in most of the jobs that you do, I think at least more than 50% of the jobs in computer or IT sector is going to be customer facing. You will have to
Okay.
communicate, you will have to have a little bit of idea on how to present your ideas in front of the audience.
Right.
And that's
Right.
not just in terms of English language or Hindi language, it's like in general, how good are you at expressing your ideas? And
Right.
that's something very important. So in addition
And
to
I
just
believe
your
a lot of us lack that skill, at least at a beginner's level. It is kind of intimidating, kind of daunting. We've never had that extra support in that kind of communication skill development. We've not really
correct
focused much as a techie, right? So
correct
that
yeah,
part
so
is
personal
missed.
development skills, I don't think it's taken very seriously in colleges,
Right.
which is, I think, one thing that we lack in Indian
Hmm.
education system, where we are not focusing a lot even on personal development skills. And it comes with practice, is what I've understood. Like, it
Hmm.
does not come naturally to you in just one or two take, and it's okay to
Correct.
goof up in front of audience for the first two
Right.
three times that you're doing. Even for you, if you see your journey as a
Yeah.
YouTuber, when you started you were not very comfortable, but now if you see
Correct.
after a couple years of experience
There's
and
a lot of
practice,
progress, definitely.
there is a progress.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely it's a mix of both. Have your
Hmm.
tech skills, try learning more out of the box than just your defined coursework, and also focus on your personal development skills. I think both of that combined is going to give you great opportunities and great learnings, and there's a learning curve there for sure.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Right. That was a great one. Okay. Okay, here's another good question, which is on our current situation of this pandemic, where Harshit is asking, well, keeping the whole corona situation in mind, is it still possible to get a job in US for Indians? So,
uh,
what is the difference between pre and post corona pandemic?
So I think from the time that I have been, so it's been 4 years since I moved to the States. Uh,
Hmm.
there is a little bit of difficulty in terms of finding jobs in the States in
Okay.
IT specifically,
Hmm.
and that's not because of pandemic. It is also because of various immigration related issues that the country has.
Okay.
And I think with pandemic, it is not just the US, but entirely in all the parts of the world, it is very difficult for people to find job right now. So if you see, even in
Acha.
India, it is very
Hmm.
difficult for fresh grads to
Yeah.
land up in a job. But I think this is temporary. It is going
Hmm.
to end at some point. The pandemic is definitely going to end at some point, and we are going to go back to our regular economy and regular lives.
Right.
Uh, I think not to bottleneck to the US itself. If you have plans of, if you have ambitions to move out of India and settle in somewhere else, there are a lot of options currently available in terms of, you can move to Australia, Canada, New Zealand,
Okay.
Singapore as well. So there are a lot of other countries. So if you don't have to primarily focus on the states, because of a lot of immigration issues right
Hmm.
now, it's getting a little difficult. But there
Right.
are other countries where there are IT sector booming, and you can find a
Okay.
job out there.
Okay.
And that would be altogether a different session where we can give ideas on
Right, right, right.
for
This can be
students,
a completely separate session where
conversation,
how to go about how to go about jobs out
studying
of India,
outside the country
studying outside the country.
plus working outside of the country. That's a whole
Correct.
together different topic, and we can definitely have a session on that to give
Definitely.
idea to your users.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay. Okay. So Rohan Singh is asking, as a fresher, should I focus on data structures and algorithms or new trending technologies like cloud, machine learning, AI, Internet of Things, etc., to get a good package in that particular sector? Okay.
So I think this is the question that I've been asked by a lot of friends of mine. What
Hmm.
should I do? Should I do more of machine learning? Should I do this to get? I think a good package is a very important thing for a lot of us.
Right.
Financially, we want that kind of independence and freedom.
Yeah.
But I think during the initial years, when you're just like fresh out of college or fresh out of your grad schools, it's don't focus more on your how much you're going to get paid. Look for those kind of opportunities where you are going to get a wide spectrum of opportunities where you can learn more.
Correct.
And specifically to the question where he says, do we learn ML and AI, etc.? It totally depends on your interest.
Right.
If I am not interested in machine learning, and if I just see from that perspective that machine learning is going to get me a package of like 15 lakh or 20 lakh, even if I land up in a job, if I'm not good at it, I'm not going to be succeeding in that area.
Right. The progress is definitely going to be much harder.
It's going to be harder. Rather pick a line where you are going to love working on. You can see a learning curve there, and then if you are excelling at even at database management, when you land up in a job, there is going to be a good progress.
Right.
So instead of seeing technology which is going to pay you more, see the technology that you are interested in more.
Correct.
And that is going to ultimately pay you more.
Right. And a lot of technologies are interconnected, so there is always option to switch. And as you said, try to look out for a opportunity where there are broad spectrum of experiences. So then you get a taste of every little technology here and there, and then as you progress, you can. Yeah. I've always said that. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. All right, so let's move ahead. Okay, so Satvik Jha is asking, what is she planning to do ahead and why? That's a good question. So what do you have in mind?
If I subtract the years of experience that if I subtract the years of my grad school, I still have had like 5 years of experience, almost 5 years of experience now, and I feel I still am learning. So I don't really know which area would be something that I would completely want to spend the rest of my life with, which is completely okay. You don't have to know on day one that, okay, I want to be a data scientist for the rest of my life.
Right.
Going to like experiment and then learn. But to answer that question in a much better way, in a much more compact way, I would say that I'm enjoying working in the cloud space right now. And probably I want to experiment with the different vendors also at some point, where right now I'm just like focused on Oracle cloud infrastructure. But if I am given an opportunity, I would definitely want to traverse into other areas in terms of cloud vendors. And in terms of job role, currently I'm a cloud engineer, which means I come into a pre-sales picture where I'm not working on the entire enterprise level infrastructure. Where I'm focused primarily on small products which Oracle sells. So in future, I can go into something called as the enterprise cloud architect positions, which are going to be encompassing a lot of other technologies as well. So at that point, you cannot get away with knowing just like one bit of information. Right. You need to know the entire picture of how an entire enterprise, a company like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, if they want to move to cloud, they'll have a enterprise resource planning system or human capital management system. They'll have a database, they'll have a front end, back end. So all of those together, and if they want to move into cloud, how are you going to help these customers? So that becomes an architect level job. So I think my path currently is towards that kind of position where I can learn smaller technologies.
So there's still a long way to go, long way to explore.
Long way to go. Yeah.
Okay, that was nice. Okay, and so there is Dhanush who's asking how to spend time with coding and technical skills, and is it necessary to have a communication skills if we are good in coding but not good at English? What will happen? Please explain. So I guess we partially answered that, where communication skills is definitely important, especially if the company is having international clients, or where you are going to be at the front end explaining the customers or your manager, or you're giving presentations, right? So communication skills should definitely matter a lot. And talking about, how to spend time with coding and technical skills. So what would you say on this?
So I think one mistake that I would definitely want to point out from my experiences, I did not spend a lot of time in coding. And I think even you would agree at this point with
Right.
me, we did not spend a lot of time coding. And
Definitely.
it's not that to find a job you need coding skills, but I think the more coding you do, your logic building and your problem solving skills get improved.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
looking at a problem, you know how you could solve it.
Hmm.
If that's the kind of skill you want to develop, coding is definitely something that's going to help you.
Correct.
So don't take it as a compulsory course in college.
Hmm. Hmm.
Try building your interest in coding. Try just writing a program on the go. Think of a problem that, if I want to like add two numbers, how do I write a code?
Hmm.
If I
Hmm.
just want to like multiply two numbers, how do I write it? So start with very small examples, but obviously coding skills
Build on to
is
that,
going to
right?
be, yeah, if you build onto it, it's going to give you a lot of additional skills than just to coding. It's going to
Right.
help you like develop your entire resume
Hmm.
in against just like one specific language or programming
Correct.
language.
Correct. Correct. And communication skills are definitely necessary.
Totally.
I feel we Indians lack that a little bit. Even though we are good at technology, we are good nerds and geeks. But then I
Yeah.
guess we are not able to express our thoughts and our ideas very well. A lot of
Yeah.
times, many of the people get out of HR interviews where their technical
Correct.
skills is fine. They've cracked all those interviews, but then they're not able to communicate in the final round or the personal interview rounds. So I
Right.
guess
Like I said,
communication.
like I said earlier, most of the jobs that I know
Hmm,
is going to be customer facing. So you will have to
right.
at some point talk to your clients and customers, or you have to talk
Correct.
to the developers or product teams or anybody, tester teams. So
Right.
that is very important. You need to have your personal development skills developed, so that when you come to a place where you have to communicate and express your ideas. You don't
Hmm,
want to be in a room of 20 people and you have brilliant ideas, but you're not confident enough to speak. You don't
correct.
want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Having no idea and just talking, it's still better than having so many ideas and not able to be talking in front of people. So I
Right.
think try practicing more, try talking to the mirror. One tip that I tell a lot of my cousins and friends who are like young ones right now, who are fresh out of school, one tip that I give them is pick a topic,
Hmm,
anything. So for
okay.
example, because we're talking about cloud computing right now,
Mhm.
pick a topic and do a little bit of research on cloud computing. Make a PowerPoint presentation, make a few video or any kind of whiteboarding if you want to do. Make
Mhm.
a presentation deck of 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Gather around your friends or your family and
Hmm,
try explaining this to them.
okay.
One skill which is very important in IT jobs, I feel, is you should be able to explain any concept that you have
Okay.
as well as to a 15-year-old kid or to a grandmother who has no idea about IT at all.
Right.
And you should also be able to explain this kind of concept to somebody with like 15 or 20 years of IT experience.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that will definitely come with practice. So you need
Hmm,
to be able to express your ideas in a way that it is okay to understand for a layman, and it is
hmm.
okay to understand even for a person who is in technical business for a longest of time.
Right. Right.
So pick up a topic, just make a presentation deck, talk in front of your like
Correct.
small audience, talk in front of your friend,
Hmm,
take questions,
hmm,
give them, try building an answer on the go.
hmm.
That's going to definitely help you, and that's something that we never did when we
Yeah.
were in college. And I think that's a good tip that people should use who are right now in
Definitely.
college.
Definitely.
It would be
Definitely.
definitely,
Also, do not shy away for speaking in English. A lot of us used
yeah,
to feel shy as a beginner, but that is definitely not a plus. That is not a pro. That is definitely a
yeah,
con. Be a little confident. Talk in English. Maybe people will make fun of you initially, but that will definitely help you in your later stages, right?
yeah, definitely.
All right. All right. Okay. So moving on. Um, the lyricist is saying, is learning calculus in mathematics necessary, or we can keep calculus as an option? Please ask this one. I don't think it is directly involved. Is it very
It's not.
impactful?
I
It's
think
not,
if
right?
it's compulsory in your coursework, just do it.
Right. Right.
But outside of it, if you're not interested in doing it and if it's an
Hmm.
optional course, just like let it go. I mean, I would honestly, I don't want to comment on this because it's going to affect somebody's academics.
Huh.
but and score building thing. So I don't want to comment it. But if it's not compulsory and if you are given an option to leave, and if you are not interested in learning it, just like let it go. It's not a
Right. And this is in specifically in terms or in context with this cloud computing scenario, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying in
Otherwise
general.
you'll just skip the
No, no,
entire subject.
no, don't do that.
Right. Right. Okay. So Benita Varghese, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, is asking what are the job opportunities for an MSc Science student abroad and how to reach there. So I guess this can be as you said, can be an entirely separate video on the transition from India to any abroad state. But in a very what we say in a nutshell, can you just state a few?
So
What are the different opportunities?
I think these days there are a lot of opportunities in other countries except for the US. US is a little difficult,
Mhm.
like I said earlier, in terms of immigration. But countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, if you have a master's degree and if you have a couple years of experience in your resume, it's very easy to get into these countries on permanent residency. So like on the PR or green card, if you understand that. So it's like a permanent work permit into these countries. So it's
Okay.
very easy these days for people with graduate degrees, like postgraduate degrees, and with like little over 3 or 5 years of experience. If you have like couple years of experience,
Right.
and plus if you are young, so if the age group that they're looking to invite is about 20 to 30 years of age group. So fresh out of school, if you have a couple years of experience, you have a master's degree, it's very easy to migrate to these countries where there are a
Okay.
lot of booming opportunities. And we can definitely talk about it more in a
Yeah,
separate session. Or if you
correct.
have any questions, you have like my LinkedIn.
Right. I'll put the LinkedIn link on this video. You can see it on the screen probably,
Yeah,
or you can mail her, and then maybe
yes,
she can
definitely.
revert right whenever you have the
Yeah.
time. Okay. Okay. So Pavana Kaushik is asking what are the prerequisites for getting a IT based job in USA for a non-IT branch student. Okay. So this is a tricky one. I'm not sure.
The answer is if you are, it's a very harsh answer, but if you're from a non-IT background, USA is not a country for you because their rules in terms of hiring people is very strict. Only if you
Okay.
have a degree from STEM as in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
You need to have a degree from one of the four areas. This is especially for people from outside of USA wanting to work in USA.
Okay. Okay.
For locals, it's not a big problem. For the US citizens, it's not a big problem to get into an IT job with a non-IT background that I've seen
Okay.
in these last 2 years. But for people who are from outside of the country, it's very difficult to get into USA with a degree that is non-IT related. So
Oh,
I think in that case, your options are going to be different countries, not the US.
correct. Or maybe get a degree in that specific domain.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And there is this username which is pretty weird. It's literally a number like Elon Musk's son. I'll put it on the screen, and he or she is asking on which type visa she got job, like H1B or any other. What exactly is that?
So when I moved to States, I moved on F1 visa, which is the student visa.
Mhm.
On the student visa, you are allowed to work for a period of 3 years, which is
Okay.
probably going to change.
Mhm.
But when I moved, I moved on F1 visa. And then once you start working, you get transferred to H1B visa, which is a whole new and a different process. So it's you get picked in lottery. It's a luck
Mhm.
based system. If you get picked in that lottery, you get the H1B visa, and then from F1 you move it to H1. So right now
Okay.
currently I'm on H1B visa.
Acha. Okay. All right. Okay, so these are quite a lot of questions here. I'm pretty much I've ran out of questions. So one last question that I would want to ask is one last tip for beginners who want to get into cloud engineering, data science, and that kind of domain. What would be the things to do or things not to do maybe?
uh Specifically for cloud engineering, I would say like I said earlier, do more courses or do more learning in the area of cloud computing.
Mhm.
There are a lot of certifications that each of these vendors provide. at a very minimal fees, or sometimes they are also free. So there are AWS certification or OCI certification, Azure certification. So if your goal is to specifically go to one of the companies, those are in the top tier, pick one of your interest and just do those courseworks in addition to your academics. Just don't stay focused to your academics, do something additional. There are a lot of free courses available on website like Lint or Coursera, I guess. So there are a lot of courses.
Maybe we can, later on pick a few of the courses and put in this video description, or right. So for everyone who's
Definitely,
watching,
and
you'll definitely
probably
find
you can probably also do something on your channel for people interested in cloud computing,
Sure,
where you
right.
can bring up a playlist on just specific concepts of cloud computing.
Correct. We'll definitely put down some resources. So you'll find some of the resources in this video description. You guys can check it out. We'll see if we can find some good courses, and we'll put them down. And as I mentioned, I also put down Mitsu's LinkedIn profile. So if you have any queries, if you have some legit queries, don't just bombard her with questions. If you have some legit queries, you can go ahead and ask her on LinkedIn. And that would be great, right? Okay. So these were the questions from me and some of our users. And anything you would want to add?
Nothing. I think it was a good experience coming here and answering questions from the audience. I think we should do this more often, where we come up with specific areas of, there are so many popular topics that audience are interested to know on. So we can definitely get a poll from your users as to what they are interested in.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good one. What you guys can do is you can put some more questions if you have any specific questions related to cloud computing or this entire domain. And let me know in the comments how this video was, and if you have any queries, maybe we can do a follow-up video as well.
Sure.
And definitely work out something like that. Okay, so thank you so much, Mitsu, for this entire session. It was really helpful. And okay.
Like, share, subscribe the channel. I always wanted to do that. I have never, done that because I don't have a channel, but I can do it for yours. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.